Go to C25, they said. Get reimbursement for your flight, they said. Yeah, go fuck yourself. What's up, everybody? Taylor, sheepish. You know, the usual. This video might come off as a travel vlog, and to some extent it is a travel vlog, but I want to frame it around the concept of a couple of things, and then we'll get into the video because it is long, so I'll probably interject throughout points where it feels applicable. But just to say this before we jump into it, this video in and of itself is about experiences. Experiencing life, experiencing culture. It is a trip to Navajo Nation. It's a trip to 4 different states, traveling around, that is applicable to my story that I'm writing. So I got to learn a lot about the culture. I got to learn a lot about the environment. A big part of this video is about photography and capturing those references that I can then use later. The dirt, the leaves, the grass, all kinds of different things, not just one pretty rock, although you're going to see a lot of rocks in this. But it was about capturing the breadth of the trip in its entirety. And that even means to some of the more spiritual aspects of the trip, with how different locations might impact or not impact. And then hopefully being able to use that for my story later on, but just using it for my own personal life and growth. And I think that's really beautiful, and it's really something that was with me and hoped that I would get out of this trip. And I did. There was a lot of things that I'll take away from this, feelings that aren't going to be captured in film, aren't going to be captured in just photos. But I hope in some extent it's an interesting watch. I hope that you feel that it is entertaining. But yeah, let's not waste any more time. Let's get into it, because we got a couple days to get through. All right, see you then. Alright, morning 1 at the airport. It's about 5 a.m. We should be flying in like an hour or so. Coffee. It's early. We got up at 3 a.m. and drove here, and should be fun. Flight 1. Let's go. Okay, so we are in Albuquerque, just landed a little bit ago, about 2 hours ago at this point. Second flight went all right. Chicago airport was rough, so I didn't record there. But we had 2 gate changes and a 30-minute delay, so we got in not too much longer, about 20 minutes longer than we planned on it. But we have stopped at Walmart, grabbed waters and snacks. We have grabbed a road coffee, and we are en route to Mount Taylor. So we're on Highway 40. And we should be there in about an hour and a half. All right, see you later. All right, Mount Taylor is kind of a bust. It's really far, and you can see the road. You can see Mom. Hi, Mom. The road is bumpy in all kinds of different ways, and this path in particular is a little bit more narrow, and there's a little bit of ice and a little bit of mud and a lot of bumps, and easier to just get real close. And we still got cool pictures and some good sights, so worth doing. But we won't go all the way to the summit, I suppose. Either way, all right. Retreating from our failed Mount Taylor endeavor, we've seen many a cow. This is free cow country. Cows get to do whatever the hell they want here. And look, a penitentiary. The bullet holes in those signs earlier are now making much more sense. As leaving, we go through a little town and find these satellite dishes that are painted. Isn't that nice? We have train tracks and mesas that are red. There's some trash along the ground, but not too much. Oh look, more trees. Honestly, we'll thank that because now we're in plains and all the trees are gone. We got used to a lot of deserty grasslands and rocks. We're coming up on Bisty Badlands here. We didn't actually stop there, but these weird, otherworldly rocks are really beautiful. Instead, we went to get margaritas at a Mexican restaurant. Go America. Okay, welcome to my bed. It was a very long day, and we're very tired, and we went for Mexican food in a place called Tequila's, and it was fucking good, and they had margaritas that were good, and fish burritos that were good, and it was close, and...
You didn't have fish burritos.
I had shrimp burrito with scallops. That's fish. It was in the fish section. We're tired. We're going to get sleep. And then tomorrow is another day. Okay. Good night. Good morning. Day 2. We had breakfast. The hotel has been overrun with a fucking stampede of wrestling kids. They have coffee, so that's good. Today we are heading to Shiprock. I don't think we'll be able to get up all the way to Shiprock. I'll probably show some pictures of what Shiprock looks like up close, because it is really cool, but it's usually blocked off. So then we'll drive to Four Corners, which is the meeting point of 4 states, and then drive to Moab so we can go to Arches National Park in Utah tomorrow. So that's what it's looking like. Yay. We're at the wall, the dike of Shiprock. It is pretty phenomenal. We're gonna try to go. Excuse me. We're gonna try to go all the way about there to the main body of Shiprock. Drive out. It's a dirt road. It'll be really cool. I'm really excited to see if we can get there. But all right. Hopefully you can hear me. See you later. There's not much I can say to explain Shiprock. I hope these pictures somewhat do it justice, but you are completely alone out there. And it is truly beautiful. Sometimes it's perfectly silent outside of the wind, and it's breathtaking to say the least. I think later I'll be able to speak on it more. I won't do it now, but it truly was beautiful. When we left Shiprock, we then headed back to the town of Shiprock. See that? Shiprock and Shiprock? Here, we found the flea market, which only happens on Saturdays, so we happened to hit it perfectly. I got something there, and we'll talk about it a little bit later. Moving on, we went to Four Corners Monument. Now, at this monument, there was plenty of vendors, and with the rocks, I hope you know the green and red colors. Hope you see those. Very pretty. Christmas. Christmas in the rocks. Again, there were many vendors here. Those vendors were very knowledgeable and told us about newspaper rock, which we decided to fit into our schedule. Before leaving, we did have Navajo fry bread. This is the first time we've had Navajo fry bread, but it will not be the last. This was with honey and apple butter. Those are the two options we chose. Very good. Oh, and we found this horse. I couldn't figure out if it was alive or dead. Or fake. It didn't move. It just stood the entire time we drove up on it and past it. These horses were real. They did move. Unlike that fake horse. At Newspaper Rock, we found these petroglyphs, ancient carvings or drawings, if you will, of the Anasazi. Very small, but very serene and beautiful location.
We're in this little cove, kind of. Very cool. Pretty sandstone.
Afterwards, we continued on and made our way towards Moab for the next day. Here are some arches, which will point you towards Arches National Park, which we'll go to tomorrow. Look at that. Oh, and here's where we found out that Vegas was in hell, and little pink vans are its sidekick. We finally made it to Moab, and I was rewarded with a free, nondescript pill on my pillow. What could it be? It was a long day. Made to Shiprock. It was absolutely phenomenal. Afterwards, we came back to the town of Shiprock, went to a flea market, and I had been wanting to get a turquoise bracelet, for years. Again, my story obviously focuses on Navajo, so that reinvigorated my want of one, but I did a lot of research and did some thinking about what I wanted. So we were at the flea market, and I got one. I was going to wait till later in the trip, so I felt weird buying it this early, but I fell in love with it, so here it is. I thought the matrix and the webbing on it were absolutely beautiful, so it's really special, and I like it a lot. And so afterwards, we went to, I just showered, so my skin is going to want me to put this on. There we go. Afterwards, we went to Four Corners Monument, where all 4 states meet up, which was really neat. But there's vendors around there, and every single vendor kept commenting on my bracelet. They're like, oh, so that, you must have a lot of money. It's like, that's not why I bought it. I just wanted a really cool piece that mattered and had both physical and spiritual value, and I really enjoy it, so I like it a lot, so I'm glad I got it. But either way, it was a funny story. So we're in Moab now, and tomorrow we'll go to Arches, and yeah, it'll be fun. It's been a lot. It's been good, and I guess we'll talk more later. All right. Bye. Yá'át'ééh, Look, Arches is vast. We only did the one hike and didn't get to see all of the arches themselves, but it was great. Enough said. Now, DJ, turn up that funk.
All right, we just got back from climbing to see the Delicate Arch in Arches National Park in Utah. It was fucking awesome. Lots of pictures, really tall climb. Yeah, it took like the whole thing, I guess it's like an hour, hour and a half to get there depending. And, then back, but holy shit, it was beautiful. And you definitely need to see it if you come this way, so. All right, we're heading back to the car. Fun.
You find me again at the end of a long day. Yeah, today was awesome. So we were in Moab all day. We went to Arches National Park. Fantastic. Super, super cool. Obviously, you got to pace yourself as far as how many things you're going to see in a day because it can take quite a while. But we walked to Delicate Arch. Yes, that Delicate Arch, I believe is what it's called, which is the most popular. It was kind of breathtaking once you get to that edge and you wrap around the corner and then there it is, just the arch, holding, and it's really cool. I could have walked and had my picture taken under the arch directly. I decided not to do that. It didn't seem necessary to me, and that there was a long line, not that that really mattered, but getting there was kind of like the cool part, the accomplishment of getting there. Not that it was overly difficult, but it was the journey of getting there that was cool. And then we got some cool photos of it and there, and we hung out there for a little bit and had like a quick little lunch, and it was a good time. Tomorrow we're headed to Monument Valley, where we'll stay overnight at a Hogan, Native American or Navajo or Diné traditional hut home. It'll be a male Hogan, just for reference, because there are male and female Hogans. Music, I believe music and dancing and campfire and eating, and yeah, I'm hoping the stars look awesome. I keep saying every day is really cool, and I hope that's not repetitive because every day is really cool, and there's no other way to say it. This is what I expected, but you can't really expect it until you see it. Like, even though you're going to see some of these photos, and I'm sure they'll look amazing because they are amazing, they are not going to translate. The sheer vastness, openness, expanse of these landscapes is astounding, and you can't place yourself in them in a photo. Once you're there, it goes beyond the borders of your screen, and yeah, it's awe-inspiring. It's humbling, ironically. I'm sure I'll say it later too, but like after a while you're like, yeah, I mean, I've seen, that was a cool rock. That was another cool rock. That's cool rock. But like after a while you stop taking photos because it's like, well, I have a scale of cool rock now. I need 10 rocks. If I don't have 10 rocks, I'm not taking photos. I ain't got time for those 5s. So that's kind of how it feels after a minute. Because we've seen so many cool things already and there's so many cool things to come. So you kind of have to be picky, I suppose. Head out in the morning. We don't have to be there until I think like 4:30. So mostly a little bit of driving. Probably get there early. I assume we'll probably leave around 10 or 11. We've been sleeping till 7 to 8-ish. Yeah. I think that's all of this check-in. We'll talk later. Okay. Have a good day. Goodbye. Leaving Moab, we went down some of the same roads we had to come in on, since we went south, so some of these pictures might look familiar, but from a new angle. I'm now going to draw your attention to the landscape. Notice the heavily textured terrain and the deep layers. Here, the rock also begins to turn red, vibrant red, and consistently red. We've seen peaks of it here or there, but not to this extent. All of the rock is red. And you'll also be aware of the different variances in rock. There are buttes, mesas, and plateaus. I had to look this up. Buttes are single standalone structures, like some of the monuments you'll see. Mesas are the larger, hilly portions. And then plateaus are gigantic. I have no idea what constitutes a plateau versus a mesa, but I know there's a scale. We ended up going to Gooseneck State Park, which was a last-minute addition, and I'm glad we did. It was a very unique river, different than anything else we had seen or will see. Afterwards, we came across the Forrest Gump spot. Run, Forrest! Sorry. And then we headed on to Monument Valley. Now let that sick song play.
right, I assume you couldn't hear me before. Hopefully this is better in the car. We are at the View Hotel in Monument Valley. We stopped for lunch at Goldman's? Goldine? I don't know, Gold something. I'll include it later. That was awesome. I was able to have a Navajo burger, traditionally obviously with hamburger meat, but they had Impossible burgers, so go for the win. It was delicious. So it's fry bread with green chilies, onion, tomato, lettuce, Thousand Island dressing. I think that was about it, but it was really good, and it was cool that I was able to have one. Had a museum there, had a store, trading post and gift shop. Again, now we're at the View, which is a hotel. We're not staying here, but they have a trading post and everything too, and got a lot of really great photos. The turnaround that I had before was for that. But we'll be, we're waiting. We've got about an hour. Hopefully you can't hear the people talking behind me, which are really freaking loud. There you go, you can see outside a little bit. But we're waiting for our tour guide to get here, pick us up. I think they're gonna get here about 4:30. Then we'll be probably on a Jeep ride. It's windy as hell, but we're on a Jeep ride. The weather's good. It was gonna rain, but it didn't, which is fantastic. But Jeep ride, sightseeing, probably more good photos. Then we'll go to our Hogan for the evening for the overnight stay. And then we'll get dropped off, I think, about 8 a.m. And then we'll head out to Antelope Canyon. So a lot of stuff. I don't know if I'll be able to record one of these later or until later tomorrow, honestly. So I wanted to do a quick check-in now. But yeah, beautiful. Monument Valley is fantastic. And it's really cool because driving around, you're like, hey, that rock looks really familiar. Oh, yeah, sure, that was in Back to the Future. Oh, they showed that in Men in Black. They showed that in this and that. And really, really cool. But anyway, okay. I think that's about it now. We're just chilling, waiting for our guide. I just got done taking a lot of extra pictures, and yeah. All right, we'll check in later. Bye. All right, we are back at our hotel, settled. We are currently in Page, Arizona. Last we talked, we were getting ready for our Hogan overnight stay. And in short, pretty fucking awesome. But I guess cliff notes to kind of fill in the gaps of what you missed today. We got dropped off at about 7:30-ish after doing some photos of the sunrise. On the way, we stopped at a breakfast place recommended by our guide, Stanley, who was really cool. And then when we were at the breakfast place, we were recommended by a local woman to go to the Navajo National Monument, which was really neat. It was a relic, an ancient town, basically, in a cliff face of the Anasazi people. And then we continued on Page to do Antelope Canyon today. And Antelope Canyon was beautiful. Yeah, it was a long time. It was tiring, and obviously in the Hogan we didn't get to, we slept, but it was on a floor with sleeping bags on dirt and very thin pads. So we didn't sleep great, and again, we'll get into that later, but we didn't shower, we didn't brush our teeth, we had outhouses, if you can even call them outhouses. So it was a long time of feeling tired all day, dirty all day, because we couldn't check into our hotel until 3, so by the time we got to our hotel, Mom and I both felt disgusting, so we had to shower and brush our teeth, and then I guess we treated ourselves with ice cream at a local place, but honestly, all it's done so far is make me feel more bloated than I've already felt in the entirety of the trip, but it was good, it was good. As of now, in the room, getting ready to just finally really relax and hopefully get good sleep tonight. Tomorrow we're heading to Tuba City and then down to the Grand Canyon. Grand Canyon should be cool. Hear that the entrance could take 2 hours, so hopefully that doesn't happen, and I guess we'll find out later if it does, but we're going to be sitting in our car for a while. Things to consider on the trip are things that we have to constantly be aware of that we haven't talked about so far. Fill up gas every morning because there's basically no towns in between. Make sure you clean the windows, otherwise the pictures you're trying to take outside of the windows are dog shit. They're blurry and smudgy or have dead bugs smeared across the beautiful landscape you're trying to capture. And new notice. I didn't take pictures of any of them, but take my word for it. Every hotel bathroom door is different. Everyone. No one has figured out how to master the hotel bathroom door. They either lock or close or slam. They're pocket doors. They're open closing doors. They have no locks. They just rest against it on the handle. Yeah. That, and they always hide the toilet paper from you. So you won't find it until you're mid-go. Anyway, rambling. But yeah, I guess we'll see you in the morning. All right, time for some clarification of things we haven't talked about. Trading posts. What are trading posts? Trading posts are remnants of Native American markets, essentially. Used to be a barter location. Now they're, where they sell their handcrafted goods and things of that nature for the most part. There are very few left. A lot of them are closing down. There's a few that are of higher quality, like Cameron's here, where it's kind of touristy and larger in scale. Most are significantly smaller. Our car, the stick shift, if you can call it that, are these stupid fucking buttons. So every time you want to go forward or back, you have to flip a switch. You can't pull a lever. Why would it be that easy? Fucking stupid. I want to clarify, I don't mean higher in quality. I mean that Cameron's is larger in scale. They have a lot of variety, a lot of options internally, but they're crazy overpriced. If you want high quality trading post, go to Tuba City. That was the best one we were at. All right. We're at the Grand Canyon. It is pretty. I'm here, Mom. Jesus. Can't do anything without her freaking out that I'm dying or falling off a cliff. Sorry if my fingers are covering it. Pretty cool.
Well, I'll tell you something. This is no longer a vacation. It's a quest. It's a quest for fun. I'm gonna have fun, and you're gonna have fun. We're all gonna have so much fucking fun we'll need plastic surgery to remove our goddamn smiles. You'll be whistling Symphony Doodah out of your assholes. I gotta be crazy. I'm on a pilgrimage to see a moose. Praise Marty Moose! Holy shit!
Remember, only you can prevent forest fires.
All right, I think this one will be quick, but yeah, today, what did we do? Went to Tuba City. Tuba City was cool. We saw the Navajo Museum there, saw the Code Talker Museum, went to the Tuba City Trading Post, which was a recommended one, and it was a very nice one with good prices on turquoise, if anyone's curious. They were all in the same location, so we thought it was going to take a while, but they were all on top of each other, so it was really convenient. My camera SD card filled up when we were there, so I was like, oh fuck, because we were going to the Grand Canyon afterwards. But thankfully, there was a Dollar General close by, and they had one available, so that was a crisis diverted, I suppose. We were dealing with in and out of time zone changes all day because different sections of this area, whether they're in or out of the Navajo Nation, can choose to observe or not observe daylight savings time, so it was confusing to figure out what it was going to be because we had like an hour and a half between each section. From Tuba City, we went to the Grand Canyon. The Grand Canyon was beautiful. Kind of got us into an alpine region, which was great because we haven't really done that. And I think we were getting a little tired of deserts, frankly. We saw some elk and different wildlife there, which was cool because we hadn't really seen, honestly, much wildlife, more ravens. Grand Canyon was beautiful. We got some really great photos. Surprisingly, it wasn't as impactful as I thought it would be. I think because things we've seen that were impactful, you know, the Delicate Arch and Arches, Shiprock in Shiprock, New Mexico, and, you know, like our Hogan overnight, say, in Monument Valley, like all of those were super impactful. They were smaller crowds. They were more intimate. A couple of those with me and Mom were just me and her. And I think it let those hit a little bit different. Grand Canyon is so accessible and really so crowded that people are just walking by. There's kids, there's people being loud, noises, everyone's taking photos. And I think it kind of ruins the serenity and the beauty of the environment a little bit. So I think that's why it didn't hit that wow moment. Like, you know, there's some peaks where if you're out there and you kind of like try to zone out and focus on the surrounding, the vastness is impactful. And I had that feeling, but it definitely didn't hit the same. And I think that's why we've also seen a lot of amazing things in a short span of time. So maybe we're getting immune to it, or like I said, our scale is affecting the output. But worth doing, beautiful to see. Yeah, got a coffee cup. I collect coffee cups, so I had got one in Monument Valley, and I got one there. I went to like 3 different shops to find a good one, so I didn't settle, and I'm glad I didn't. They had a market there, which when we went to, they had a different cup, and I liked the one I got. I can show it later. We went to Flagstaff, Arizona, which is where we're at now, but it was another, you know, hour and a half between basically Grand Canyon and here. We took a pass kind of by the San Francisco Mountain, the peaks of the San Francisco Mountain, I said it. But we went through there. It was gorgeous. Again, more alpine region. So we went off the Grand Canyon, descended, which we thought would be the max height, which is around 7,000 feet we've been at. We went there and it was over 8,000. So we haven't talked about it, but headaches and pressure headaches, feeling like sinus aches have been the worst. But that was beautiful and was the highest we were at so far. So we'll get up tomorrow. We'll head towards Window Rock, and I guess we'll see what happens. We're almost at the end. Yeah, I guess see you then.
I became hyper aware of these fire danger signs after the Grand Canyon. It just feels like shit could go wrong at any second. Alright, time for speculation on these roof tires you've seen. I think they're an easy and cheap way to hold on the roof slats in heavy windstorms. Didn't check. Just my guess.
Thursday, last day before flying home. I'm tired. I don't know if that's clear. We did less today, I think, than the other day. At least less physical activity. I think the trip is starting to catch up with me. We left Flagstaff this morning, cleaned the windows the best I could, started to realize that a lot of dirt in the window was inside the window. And that wasn't us, but there's fingerprints and smudges, and they cleaned it like shit. So, you know, constant struggles working against you when you're trying to record things or video. Not take pictures. Sorry, my brain's not fully working. We got on Route 66, which Mom was really excited about. We passed Winona and Winslow, Arizona. You know, take it easy, you know. Winslow, Arizona, don't forget Winona. Yeah, that whole song. Winona was cool. Specifically, my character's name is Winona in my story that I'm writing. So that was neat. It was extremely tiny. Winslow was bigger. They touristed the hell out of that song. They had a whole section, tourist shops, all basically just relaying that song in parts. So you stand on there's a corner with Route 66 in the ground, and you take a picture, and yeah, I mean, it was neat. There were some cool pictures we got there, and it was worth doing, so that was fun. In between Winslow and Winona, we got stuck in traffic. Really the only traffic we've had, but it was a little bit of a halt. There was a semi that had flipped over from the other lane and was laying sideways in the left lane of our 2-lane highway. So that was unique. Thankfully no other cars were involved, so that was really good. But either way, it was definitely a sight, and it backed up traffic like crazy. After Winona, we went to Petrified Forest, which was pretty neat. You know, it's beautiful, but at the same time, it's like, okay, but I've kind of seen this already. The Petrified Wood specifically was really neat. It kind of clusters. There's like multiple forests around these kind of plain, deserty areas. And they were cool. We got out and took some pictures around the visitor center, and they are really neat if you can get up close on them, but we didn't want to stop in every single park or every single forest trailhead type of scenario. After Petrified Forest, we went to Shiprock. No. I told you my brain's not working. We went to Window Rock. Window Rock is the capital of the Navajo Nation. Not a lot to see. One of the most populated and dense Navajo towns, I think probably the densest, as far as how close the houses are in proximity. Some nicer homes. A lot of the homes are shanties, or just older and a little bit run down. That varies, you know, place to place. Some have electricity and plumbing, some don't. And there were some really nice houses in this area too, and some really nice buildings. They had a courthouse, and I guess all the judicial branches and the law enforcement offices. And Window Rock itself and the park that was there was small, but it was nice. It was very pretty. We got some nice shots. We went to the Navajo Museum that was there, which was nice. And it was cool. It was good. Again, I wanted to get a lot of information, and sometimes a lot of the pictures that I'm taking are just of the homes, of mailboxes and street signs and different things like that, like what the roadway looks like, to kind of just get a feel of how the area is, because that does definitely vary city to city and state to state. And so that was cool. It was good from an exploratory standpoint. So we left and we went to Gallup, which is where we're at now. Got some food, found a hotel, and tomorrow we will head to Albuquerque. We won't fly out till 4:30, so we've got plenty of time and not much to do. But yeah, the trip was wearing. I'm tired. There's a lot of cool things we've seen. They're beautiful. I wouldn't have missed them. I don't regret the trip. The trip is amazing. A lot of it I would definitely do again for sure, but it's hard to even process everything. So I think once the trip is over, I'll have time to sit and reflect on it, and that'll be really nice. I think it'll make it even feel more impactful and better and I don't know, great, fun, cool things, adjectives. But yeah, that's it for this evening. See you tomorrow. All right, we are at Albuquerque Airport. Our flight was supposed to be at 4:20. Plays up, but it got delayed, and it got delayed. It got delayed again, and then again, and then one more time. Supposed to get into Dallas and then fly to St. Louis from there, but didn't really work out that way, did it? So now we're gonna miss our connecting flight in Dallas. So we'll get stuck in Dallas for a night. So the trip gets 1 day longer. So that's exciting. I'm happy about that. We're probably going to sleep in the airport. Our flight won't be until 8 in the morning, which means we won't get home till like 10:30, pending no more delays. But yeah, so now our flight is later this evening. We won't be able to get the second one. And fun stuff. Go to C25, they said. Get reimbursement for your flight, they said. Yeah, go fuck yourself. 11:46. We just got to our gate, and our flight doesn't leave until like 9 in the morning. So, good night.
All right. It's fucking over. The editing of this has been long, and this end part, I don't necessarily care how long it takes. My goal with this trip, so this is the longest and most editing intensive video I've made so far. I'm sure it'll change because it just keeps happening that way. But my goal was to get the full 8 days under an hour, and I got it in at 55 minutes, which is pretty damn good. That's on average, 7 times 8 is 56, so you do the math. Yeah, I know, Quoth. This is mostly for a thumbnail because I thought it might look nice. But I think while we're doing this, it's probably happening right now. I'm going to throw some of my favorite pictures on screen, probably next to me, that I took throughout the trip. I don't know how many. And they're probably not the best ones because I'm going to be tired and don't want to go through all the photos again after this point. But yeah, I think I'll do that so you can maybe see a little bit more detail. Some are like tall photos that I wouldn't be able to show up in the main framework that I had to set up for each day to really just burn through photos fast. The amount of photos I took on this trip was a lot. And I don't typically take photos. I don't typically even record anything outside of this YouTube channel. Before that, definitely not. All right, let me just fucking look. Hold on. All right, the amount of photos I still have is 2,737 photos. That's after deleting photos. During the trip, I went through photos every day and purged. Because guess what? I filled up both SD cards. I filled up a 32 and a 64 gigabyte SD card. Now, the camera, which wasn't mine, was set to retain the maximum file sizes. So basically, it's making like a JPEG and it's making an internal file, so that fills up. But either way, easily over 3,000, probably 3.5 at least. So that's a lot of photos. Not to mention videos. And I'm just going to go into stats too, because my mom sent me some things in the trip, just for the sake of information. I'm not going to give you everything, but I want to give you a little bit of context. Then I'll actually say things that I care about. So we were in 7 states in 9 days: Missouri, Illinois, New Mexico, Colorado, Utah, Arizona, Texas. That's 3 time zones. And in the Navajo Nation area, we went in and out of time zones, like I mentioned in the video. Driving, we did 1,606 miles. And yeah. The driving might not even seem that long, but we did a lot of activities that required us to go out and do things and walk around and move and just be active at different locations every day. So it wore on me, and that's why maybe I look tired in the video at certain points. That's why. All in all, the trip was amazing, and I think I'm going to take my hat off. It felt appropriate to wear it for this, but I'm done wearing it now. What do I want to say? I think I'm just going to talk about the things that impacted me the most. So some of these things I haven't really had a chance to sit down. I was kind of avoiding making this video because I knew it was going to be a super long process to put everything together, to purge through more photos. Obviously, the 2,700 whatever I said that I have aren't in the video. I had to then cut down again and reduce, and I could have probably even cut down further. So if at any point it feels like a slideshow, I'm sorry. I did my best to mitigate that. I guess before I get into it, here's all the park guides and things that we got, which are interesting. Here's both my coffee mugs. This one has coffee in it. Coffee sip. It's cold. So what I want to talk about are the specific things to the Diné. So Shiprock was amazing. I talked about that. And I'm not even going to focus on it outside of the fact to say that the isolation of it was truly, truly beautiful. I told Mom when we went there, I was like, when we got to a certain point, I was like, I don't want to talk anymore. I don't want to make a noise until I'm ready because I want to enjoy the silence of the moment. And it just sat in, and it was lovely. We don't show in the video, but it might look bumpy. There were insane potholes where like the road was all like whole huge divots where I had to take over driving because it got too treacherous and you have to get your wheel right in the right spot. The last thing you want to do is break down in the middle of a fucking no man's land. The main thing I want to talk about is there's so many Navajo things and I would love to be able to relay that I just can't. There's so many things that I knew in advance because of my story. I've looked up a lot of information. I've done a lot of research. I've read through their, spiritual beliefs and creation story and things like that. And it's impossible for me to share that. This video is just going to get way too long. But being in Monument Valley was truly awesome. Now, the sights were great, obviously, just stunning. That's why so many movies decide to use that location for their filming. But the thing that we didn't know and couldn't have accounted for is our guide. So our guide, his name was Stanley. We learned a lot about him and got to talk to him. But if you remember me mentioning, it was supposed to be a Jeep tour. It was so windy and there was the possibility of the rain that we had a van. So it was an enclosed van. And because of that, I got to ask Stanley questions the entire drive. And it was only Mom and I. If you see any of the footage when we're at like the dinner, there's multiple picnic tables. Like usually it can be a large group who go to that gathering and kind of experience the full thing because there can be multiple parties, right? So where we stayed, there were 3 hogans. One I think was dedicated to the family. 2 were separate for people to stay in, and there was a tiny sweat lodge. We did end up staying in a female hogan, not the male one, which was better because the female one is more beautiful. It has like a bird's nest kind of woven structure with how the timber inside is constructed, which is all extremely unique and precise. The door is always open to the east. There's so many cool details that I just really don't have time to share with you because I would just get trapped in a vortex of telling you facts. But we stayed in the female, which honestly I was more happy about. Point being is I think each hogan could hold like 7 people. There was 2 hogans. No one else booked with Mom and I. And because it was just Mom and I, we were the only ones in our hogan because it's dedicated per like troop or like family or whatever. So outside of that, no one else, I guess, booked to even come to the dinner and share that if they stayed like at a different hogan site. So it was literally Mom and I. It was awesome. And I just got to hog Stanley and ask him so many questions and reconfirm facts and just different things. I mean, even going around to the different sites, like they showed us rock formations. Each of the rock formations in Monument Valley have names. They have Navajo names. They have generic, common tongue names. They're part of their spiritual beliefs. They have like history to them. Not only that, they mention, movies and stuff that were filmed there, which I didn't care about. I didn't really ask any questions about that. But that was at least interesting when they brought up a few, quirky facts. The roads in Monument Valley were just like sand dunes. Like if you didn't know how to drive in there, it would be treacherous. And generally you need to be out, I think, by like 5 to 7, somewhere in there. But since we had the overnight stay, we got to stay out and experience that. And at the dinner, they sung for us and they did the performance and they opened it up to like questions. And at the time I felt really foolish and I was mad at myself because I couldn't think of questions to ask, because I just asked Stanley a bunch of just basic questions that might have been lead-ins for other things. But I had those all confirmed. So I didn't really think of anything to ask, and I was upset that I couldn't think of anything because this was my chance to reconfirm knowledge for myself. Because finding it online can be difficult sometimes. Well, because of that, we wrapped up, we went back to our Hogan to stay for the evening, and it was getting dark. So by the time we got back to our Hogan, it was basically getting ready for it to be pitch black out, and the stars were starting to come out. And because we got back early, we got to actually see the stars. And they were amazing. It was the most beautiful sky you can imagine. And I tried to take photos, and obviously just the exposure didn't work out with the camera because I didn't really practice that in advance. But the best part about it, not to get too away from myself, is that we only got to see the stars for like 30 minutes. Because then the wind and the storms came through that pushed out all day. So we got to be out there and experience the actual nightfall at our Hogan, just sitting there, still silence in front of it. The wide open, it started to get cool, but it was really comfortable. Pitch black, but the glow of the blue against the rocks and the dunes. And then the stars come out and they're so bright. And if we would have stayed and asked more questions, we would have got back too late. We wouldn't have been able to see the stars. We wouldn't have been able to experience that. And that felt fated. It felt really cool. Not to mention we got to spend more time with Stanley and find out about his life. And he stayed with us inside the Hogan for a little bit. He actually slept in the van overnight. That's kind of like their job. They kind of stay with you and then get you up in the morning to go and do the photos. The photos in the morning. So we got to ask him some more other questions. But sleeping in the Hogan. So there's some dogs that live there, Navajo dogs that they have, and that's actually a thing. They're like long, kind of bred with like coyote and stuff like that. So they're kind of a little bit distinct. But there were like 2 identical dogs that were there that were super friendly, would come up with you and see you and stuff. So we go in our Hogan, we're chilling for a little bit, we lay down, we turn off the lanterns they give us, and it's black, pitch black. All you can see, and it's like burned in my brain, and I wish like there was a way to capture a photo, but I'm glad there isn't. So you're laying on your back looking up at it. You just feel the cold earth below you. You can reach your hand over and touch that sand, that dirt. And then you look up at the roof insert. So there's a pipe where the stovepipe goes through, or an opening with just like chicken wire. And you can just see the little bit of light of that square in the ceiling. And if you look forward, maybe the rim of the door, just the faintest thin line of light coming through the door, but it's pitch black. And then we're laying there and the wind starts and it's howling and it's whipping and the stovepipe is shaking and there's rattling and you feel that storm come over and you can really put it in perspective, like what it would be to like have actually lived in that. And people still live in those. But for someone like me who lives in a normal house and always has, and it's insane. It's really, really beautiful. And again, like you hear an animal run through and the dogs are howling and rustling and they chase after it. And it felt so true and honest to like the experience that I would have wanted. I wouldn't have wanted it to be anything different. And I think some people could go and experience that and maybe not appreciate it, could maybe look at it as like, I'm sleeping on the ground in dirt, like this is horseshit. I want a refund. Like, it was about the authentic experience, and I felt like I really received that there. And I just wanted to share that to an extent. The only other thing I wanted to say is that there were moments throughout the trip where I didn't want to record things, and I don't know if that's just a me thing. I'm curious if anybody has this other opinion. sometimes it feels weird for me to record things because I'm almost selfish with it. Like, it means so much to experience in person, right? From instead of behind a lens. So I kind of just want to remember it based on how I remember it and not have to watch it back. Even though I love having the memory to be able to re-experience, like, just experience in person means so much more. So it's difficult for me sometimes to even want to record things. For example, when we were at the dinner and maybe at the Hogan at Night and things, like at the dinner, I didn't record anything. I took some pictures, but Mom was the one who recorded like the native dancing. And they actually gave like stories about like, you know, what you were doing. Like, he was trying to symbolize a bird here. He was trying to symbolize different things in his dancing. But Mom was the one who recorded that. And I'm glad that she did, because I think honestly it added a lot to the video to have that singing in that location with how it echoed, with how the fire crackled. Part of me wishes I would have recorded more. Part of me wishes I wouldn't have recorded anything. It's a weird double-edged sword where, I don't know. I don't know if that makes sense. Hopefully there's some clarity in that statement, but like it's hard to put into words, but I hope you know what I mean. The only other thing I want to say, and this is probably run really long, so if the video looks like it's an hour and a half, that's why. I promise the main video was at 55 minutes. I just want to thank my mom. Mom, thank you. This really was amazing. And wouldn't have happened without you, obviously. I'm sure I was picky. I know that I dictated a lot of camera shots, and after like day one, I knew that I probably wouldn't be able to drive for like 99% of the trip because I needed to focus on taking pictures, and Mom, her pictures weren't as good as mine. But you know, we all make sacrifices. But Mom, thank you. Seriously, thank you so much. This is great, and it's a lovely memory. And this is lovely proof that it happened and existed, just like I've talked about. That's the whole point of my channel. So, sorry this video took a little bit of time, and to everybody else who might still be watching, if you are, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, sincerely. If you'd like to like, comment, subscribe, obligatorily feel free to. You don't have to. I appreciate you watching. I'm curious on any thoughts or feedback you have. I'm sorry I didn't get to share so much more information that I would have loved to share, but I hope this was still intriguing. And until next time. See you then.